To be completely honest, I'm fucking sick of having so many people ask me, how did you break into online business? How did you get started with it in the first place? So what I'm gonna do today is break down remote sales. This is how I got started. I first started with sales and then moved into my own agency. Let's break down how you can do the same and why I recommend it to pretty much everyone starting out in online business. I got my water, I got my fucking zins. Let's rip into it. Okay, so what is remote sales and how can you make your first 10 to 30K a month with it without any prior experience at all? To give you a little bit of context, right? Just to give you some credentials first, this was where I was at the start. So I was a tradie working as a chippy or a carpenter, more specifically, working on mostly new residential builds. And this was actually one of my first videos I ever posted on Instagram, breaking down how I was going to document my journey out of the trades. I really liked the idea of some sort of online business. I wasn't sure what it was going to be or what it was going to look like, but I wanted to document my story to prove that it was possible, or if it wasn't possible, to prove that it's bullshit. This is the job I was working. This was how much was in my bank account majority of the fucking time. This is what my weekly paycheck looked like, right? Roughly about 1K a week. Wasn't able to save a whole lot because I was renting on my own and had my own bills, obviously my own car and things like that. So I was pretty broke for the fucking most part. To today, right? Now I'm able to make around about 50K a month, 12 to 13 to 14K per week. That's profit, not revenue. And this is some of the things I've been able to achieve. Just LARPing, right? This is me in Dubai LARPing in front of a fucking Ferrari that we rented out. This is me LARPing in first class, LARPing in a nice villa, LARPing a Rolex, more villas, a yacht. Okay, so point is, now we're able to make a fuck ton of money. Now we're able to go travel and do the shit I always wanted to. But the more important stuff is what I've been able to do for my mom and my family, right? More specifically, my mom, I can pay for her bills, right? I paid your bills. She's thanking me. Type shit. My mom might ask, hey, can you buy me this? Can you buy me a pair of headphones? Boom. Delivered to her fucking house within a few days. Oh, you need some money? Send her some fucking money. So point is that getting into sales, getting into online business has genuinely changed my life. Obviously, was here before. Now I'm able to go travel. Now I'm able to go live the life I always wanted to. To prove that this does work for basically fucking anyone, to start out with, right? I'm a retard, okay? Just want to make that very clear. Dropped out at 16 years old. At this fucking current point, I can barely read or write. Okay, I just use AI, I just use autocorrect whenever I'm fucking texting someone. I'm retarded, okay? But if you thought that, hey, you just got lucky, huddy, let me prove that this shit works for fucking anyone. These are some of the guys that I've worked with very closely. Andrew, he went from a construction background to making 2.2K a week as an SDR setter. He's 22 from Canada. Here's the fucking screenshots. Caius, he was actually from my hometown, which is pretty fucking crazy. Came from a hospitality job, making 2.3K a week as an SDR setter now. He's 22 from New South Wales. Here's another pay slip. This is Caleb, an 18-year-old from Sydney, and he makes 7K a month as a DM setter. Another example, Lewis was working a trade. Now he's making nearly 20K a month. He's 25 years old from Victoria, fucking 19.1K. TK, 20 years old from New Zealand, worked a warehouse job, makes 9K a month. You get the fucking point. All I'm trying to say is it's fucking possible for anyone, no matter the age. Lewis was fucking 25. You got Caleb, who was 18 years old, literally finished school like a few months prior to getting into the space. So it really works for fucking anyone is my point. But let's break down, right? What actually is remote sales? A lot of people call it high ticket sales. High ticket just means expensive products or services. That's just what high ticket means. But remote sales is just, you're selling over a Zoom call or a phone. Work from your home. You can work from a different country. Doesn't really matter. But all you're doing is selling products/services between the price ranges of at least $2,000 to over $50,000. Okay? Could even be $100K. But typically around this range, right? And you're doing this on behalf of a business instead of starting your own business, trying to make your own product or service, right? Which takes a lot of fucking time. All you need to do, find a business to work with and sell their shit. Chances are they're already doing fucking successful, so you don't have to come up with like a proven strategy that works or anything. You just get to take a piece of the pie of the money they're already making. So they're making $1 million a month. You're taking a piece of that pie, man. Just to give you a little bit more perspective, per sale, you're typically taking home between 10 to 15%. So for instance, if you were selling something worth $5,000 and you're on 15% commissions, you would make $750 from just a single call. Another example, $10,000 offer, 15% of that, $1,500, right? Math ain't hard. Pretty fucking simple. But what are we actually selling? You are basically selling any type of product or service for an online business. And that could look like AI automations, which is really popular at the moment. That's what I personally work in. They can range from anywhere between $5,000 to $50,000 fucking dollars. A lot of money. Really depends on the size of the business that you're working with. But yeah, man, if it's a fucking huge business that's making millions of dollars, you can charge 50 grand. SMMA services is a really big one too. SMMA just stands for Social Media Marketing Agency. If you don't know, you could be selling paid advertisement. You could be selling building a fucking website. You could be selling SEO optimization. The list fucking goes on. Fitness programs, really fucking common one, 2 to 5K. Right? People just selling some sort of fitness coaching online, really fucking popular at the moment. Trading/investing courses, no matter like what the guy's position is, whether he's broke as fucking a job or even if he's successful, people will always pay to get some sort of advice on how do they use their money, what's the best way to invest and obviously multiply that money, right? So super in demand too, super popular. Business consulting, massive, 5 to 25K. Honestly, this can go even fucking higher. I know guys paying someone like Alex Hormozy, if you know who that is, paying 100K just to spend the weekend with Alex Hormozy, which is fucking insane. And they'd need a closer for that, right? That could range from fucking anywhere. But business consulting's massive. There's, a lot of businesses out there making, say, 6 figures, 7 figures per year, but they want to get to that 8-figure mark or that 9-figure mark. And they're going to pay a lot of money to learn all the mistakes and all the bottlenecks in their business to solve that problem. Another big one, real estate education. Another thing about investing, really, right? People may have money, but don't understand how to use that money and multiply and get into buying property, essentially. So that's just a few of the main ones. Honestly, there's a fucking massive amount of different coaching or online products/services that you could sell, but these I would say is the main ones. Now let's break down the 2 different roles when it comes to remote sales. It's really just setting and closing. Okay, I always say SDR is the entry point, but closing is the goal. SDR is the best way to start working with a business, but you eventually want to progress to a closing role because you're just going to make more commissions as a closer. It's a higher in demand skill, so you get paid more. But SDRing is, my opinion, the best way to get started. All you're essentially doing is qualifying and booking in leads. So most likely with the business that you're working with, they've got some type of marketing strategy. That could look like organic content, that could look like paid advertisement, that could look like email/SMS marketing, so on and so forth. They've got a marketing strategy that is bringing in a fuck ton of leads. Your job is just to approach those leads and say, hey, do you qualify for our services? That's like financially qualify. Do they actually want to make a change or actually want to improve the situation that they're in at all? Book them in for a call. And if they close, you're collecting a 5 to 10% commission. And then the closer's role is just jumping on those calls that the setter is booked and closing the deal. Right? That way you're going to make 10 to 20% commission. Sometimes a little bit higher, not really any lower than 10%, but I've definitely been on a roll before. I've made 30% commissions as a closer for a B2B offer. Kind of depends on the situation, but that's typically where it's at. Earning potential anywhere between 2 and 10K per month as a setter. Closing anywhere between 5 and 50K a month as a closer, which is pretty fat. I've never hit that number as a closer, but I know a lot of people that have. Insane number to hit. Honestly, when it comes to setting, you can make a lot more than 10K a month. Like for instance, if we go back over to Lewis over here, he was a setter, right? And he made 20 grand in a month. That far exceeds the 2 to 10K per month, but that's, again, just the typical range here. Now, why pick sales over every other business model? In my opinion, and based off my own experiences, I think sales is the lowest barrier to entry to get into online business. And I also think it's the best first step to get into online business too. Now, this is coming from someone who's, before even getting into sales, before even seeing success in remote sales, dude, I tried pretty much all of these business models here and more. I tried affiliate marketing, I tried e-com, I tried SMMA, I tried day trading. Here's a little difficulty curve chart. I would say by far, day trading is one of the most difficult ones to get into. But say SMMA, for instance, there are so many skills involved to run a successful social media marketing agency, right? You need to be good at sales, you need to be good at marketing, you need to be good at providing a service, you need to be good at systems, hiring people to delegate the work, being able to manage those hires too, SOPs. There's a fucking lot there. There's a lot of different things you need to get good at prior to actually starting an SMMA. Same with ecom, right? You still need to have an understanding of sales, understanding of marketing, understanding of how to build a fucking website. List goes on. When you pick something like sales, right, all you need to do is get good at one skill. That's literally it, which is sales, which is communication and persuasion. I think in terms of actually running a business and starting a business on your own, you can't really skip out on learning the skill of sales. Because if you don't know how to sell, you could have the best product or service in the fucking world, but you can't even get people to buy it. So I think it's a necessity. You cannot build your own business successfully without getting good at this first. And what most people miss out on is their goals usually just to hit 10K a month, 20K a month, 50K a month. And you could literally just do that in sales anyway, right? If you don't want to far exceed that, who gives a fuck? You could be in sales. You don't have to go start your own business and have all that responsibility of running a business. You could literally just show up to sales calls, collect some fucking cash, and then call it a day and enjoy the rest of your day off. Whereas like running a business, you have to be in control of fucking everything. If one part of your business is failing, you need to put all your attention onto that and fix that problem right away. Whereas like if you're a fucking sales rep, your main focus is just to fucking close deals. That's it, right? You don't have to worry about any of that shit. Okay, now that we understand that sales is by far the best way to get started in online business, let me break down for you the exact sales framework that I use to collect a fuck ton of cash. Now, 99% of sales reps use scripts to attempt to close a fucking deal. But I think scripts are gay and retarded, to be completely honest with you. Reason being is a script assumes that every prospect is the exact same. It assumes that they're going to answer the exact same way, but it gives you no ability to adapt if they go outside of the script. Now, the reason I use a framework is because it gives you structured guidelines on how to take the conversation and actually dig into pain points and properly understand where the prospect's coming from. The best way to close a deal is when the prospect actually understands that they have a problem and they won't be able to get to where they want to be without your solution. But you're only going to uncover that if you actually understand a little bit more about them, which scripts don't allow you to do. But let's get started with how we actually begin the call. And this is the part where I call it the intro and framing the call, essentially. This is where you can build a little bit of trust before the call actually starts, but also give them a quick debrief on how the call is going to go and what it's actually about. So the way that I always like beginning the call is, hey John, look, obviously we've been talking on the phone for a little bit now. I know that you have been saying that you've been wanting to scale your construction company for the past 6 months. Now, I think personally the best way that I can help you is just understanding a little bit more about your business before we get into things. I personally feel like the more I understand about you, the more I can help. Does that sound fair enough? I personally feel like framing the call this way gets them to understand, okay, hey, like this guy actually wants to help me. He wants to understand where I'm currently at, and that shows that you actually give a fuck about him. Okay, that's what you want. It also gives you context as to why you're going to be asking a bunch more questions, which is what I'm going to break down for you now. Now we move into the second section, which I would call the discovery part. This is where we need to understand where are they currently at? What does their current situation look like? So we need to understand, okay, what are they currently doing? If this is a business that wants to get more leads for his construction company, what have they been trying at the moment? How long have they been trying that for? Now it's really important that we understand a timeline with everything that they say they do, because this gives us just a better understanding of what's been happening. It also helps us build urgency, because if they've been trying a specific route for the last 2 years, then it's only going to build more urgency for them to realize, hey, I need to do something, because for the past 2 years, nothing's been working. Now, once you've discovered, hey, okay, you're currently doing this, you've been trying it for XYZ amount of time, are you willing to settle for these results, right? All we're trying to get is some sort of admission for change. Admission from them that, okay, they can't keep going the route that they have been going down for the past 2 years. Now we move into past situations. So obviously we just asked, okay, what happened to make you realize you needed to make a change? Now we're wondering, okay, what have they actually tried to fix this? Because if this has been a problem for the last 2 years, what have we actually fucking done about it? So first we understand, what have you done so far to try and change? When did it happen? So once again, building that timeline. Maybe they tried a different marketing strategy, 1 year ago. Now we just need to understand, okay, what was that like? How did it go for you? Why didn't it work out? What was missing for you to actually go and succeed and get to the goals that you actually want to get to? And then when did you start noticing something was missing? Okay, so potentially 1 year ago, they were working with a marketing agency to help them scale with ads, but what was missing was actually doing the work. They weren't actually providing the service properly. They never were in regular communication with the actual agency that was helping them scale. Maybe they were even getting leads from the marketing strategy they tried 1 year ago, but they were super unqualified and never were able to actually turn it into a job. All we're trying to do is just understand, okay, what actually happened in the past? 1 year ago, you tried something, it didn't work out. What was missing? The reason why this is so important is because when we move into pitching, we can have a more tailored response to what they feel like they need to reach their goals. This in end is just going to build more rapport, build more trust with the prospect, and feel like you actually care about them. And at that point, it only becomes logical, right? Because if you're providing the solutions that they were missing previously, then why the fuck wouldn't they do it? Now, after past situation, we move into a little area called solution awareness. And this is where we get the prospect to realize what the fuck they need to actually reach their goals. So like we said before, maybe they had a company that was running paid ads for them, but they were getting super unqualified leads. So maybe this time around, the solution that they're looking for is a business that will actually provide good quality leads so they can get some new jobs and make some more fucking money. And then now we're moving into goals. But the smooth way to transition from past situation to goals is just simply saying, okay, if we had XYZ solution, where would you want to see yourself in the next 6 months? So we just need to understand what is their goal. Maybe they want to take their monthly revenue from 50K a month to 100 grand a month. Now we need to understand what is the actual importance of this goal. What would life look like if your company did start making 100 grand per month? How would it make them feel? This is just getting them to understand, okay, this is where I could be. This is where ideally I'd want to be. But now it's time to start digging that hole of getting them to realize, well, hey, you're never going to get there if you never actually find a solution to the problems that you're facing right now. So after we actually come to an understanding of where their goals are and where they want to be, we need to start consequencing them, right? Okay, well, you have XYZ goals. What happens if you don't make a change? And most likely they're going to say, well, hey, if I don't make a change, I'm going to keep eating shit like I have for the last 2 years, and I'm not going to get anywhere closer to the goals that I want to actually hit. Then you move into, how would it make you feel? How would it make you feel if you did spend the next 6 months, like you have the last 2 years, not making a change and continuing to eat shit? Getting them to understand and feel that pain is only going to get them to realize, hey, well, I fucking need to make a change, right? It's a no-brainer. If I keep doing nothing about it, I'm not going to get to where I want to be. Once we've got the admission for change, which is them saying, okay, hey, I need to do something about this, we move into pitch. And this is where we tailor our offer or our solution to exactly what they were missing from their previous experiences. Target their specific pain points, right? And you only want to pitch them if it actually matters to them. If they don't see themselves making a change or they don't think they should do something now, it's a little bit on your fault, right? You haven't got them to realize that they should do something yet. But if it isn't important enough for them to actually reach those 100K months or whatever their goal is, then it doesn't make sense to pitch them. Point is, they're not going to buy something they don't feel like they need. Now, once you've tailored your solution, you've actually pitched the price, you're most likely going to deal with some objections. Now, when it comes to objections, a lot of the time, it's actually a good thing, right? It shows that the prospect's actually engaged with the conversation, with the sales call, and it shows they actually want it. They're just uncomfortable. So they're trying to find any little excuse they can make to not make a decision. Now that could look like a money objection. They just don't have the money to buy what you're selling. That could be time. They don't feel like they have the time to implement what they've got. Could be spouse. Oh, I need to have, my wife or my business partner on the phone to make a decision. Or it could be, I need to think about it. But every objection has an answer. Usually it's either emotional or it's logistical. Emotional being more so they're fearful, they're scared to take a risk. Logistical is more so they don't have the money or they literally do not have time to get into it. So now it's your job to obviously handle those objections, close the fucking deal. Once you've done that, you politely ask them, let's fucking move forward with this then, and collect the payment on the motherfucking call. Never collect the payment without them on the call, because most likely they're gonna fucking ghost you. Now that was a really brief and rough breakdown of how to frame your sales calls. If you have any more questions on how to actually frame your sales call, just shoot me a message on IG. It's linked in my description. But how do we actually get good at sales? It really comes down to 3 things, right? Number 1, asking questions. The reality of it is, whether it's sales, SMMA, e-commerce, whatever the fuck it is, you're gonna get stuck. You need to have someone to answer the questions that you have, because you're gonna have them. Otherwise, you're going to make a fuck ton of mistakes and your progress is going to be super slow. Next one is actually role plays or just practicing, right? It's one thing to understand framework, but if you're not implementing it, it's fucking useless. It's just like with boxing, right? You could punch a bag and practice your left hook, right hook, jab, whatever. But if you're not in the ring sparring with people, the reality of it is if you hopped in a fucking boxing ring, you're fucking cooked, cunt. Now, last but not least is call reviews. Getting some type of feedback on the role plays that you're doing or even the sales calls that you're taking at the moment. Now, number one, the first thing that you can do is review your own calls and just see where you fucked up on. Sometimes it's super cringy and corny. I do get it. Sometimes I hate looking at my sales calls and going, holy shit, I've said or I've said like, or I've said these words way too much, or my eye contact shit. But you don't know how to fucking fix your shit if you don't know what's fucking up. And last but not least, it's core reviews. You need to understand what you're actually fucking up on. It's one thing to practice, but if you just keep making the same mistakes over and over again, you're not going to make any progress. So first thing you should do is learn how to review your own calls and see the mistakes that you're making and it can improve on. But secondly, what's going to help you the most is getting someone who's experienced in business or experienced in sales to actually look at your sales call so you can get an expert opinion. Feedback is probably the most important thing you need to get good at fucking anything, right? You can't really move forward without it. Now that we got that out of the way, let's break down why people fail in this in the fucking first place, right? Because I think this is really simple. It just takes time to learn. Number one, they never practice. They just watch YouTube videos on how to fucking learn sales. Number two, they don't run role plays every day, so they're not fucking practicing. How are you gonna get good if you don't practice, right? They give up after 2 to 3 bad calls. They go, oh fuck, this isn't working. Let me just fucking go do something else. Retarded, right? Realistically, trying anything brand new, you're gonna eat shit, you're gonna fucking suck for a while. Expect yourself to anyway. You just gotta keep pushing through and staying consistent. Number four, they don't study their lost deals. They don't actually understand why they failed in the first place. Number five, they sound way too fucking salesy instead of being real, right? This is where people rely way too much on scripts instead of learning framework and actually understanding how to structure a call. Number six, they speak way too fucking much and ask way too little questions, right? 90% of your fucking sales call should be the prospect talking about their pain points, talking about where they're at, talking about why they need to make a change. It shouldn't be you yapping along. It should be more about them. And then most sales reps ask the shittest questions ever that never help you progress throughout the call and help you gather fucking dog shit, right? You just get really surface level answers. But here's what actually works, right? If you role play every day, it's only going to get you better. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes, it's still progress. You're still pushing the needle forward. Number two, record your calls and get proper feedback, right? Obviously give yourself feedback, but get someone who knows what the fuck they're doing to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Number three, study the deals that you have lost, not just the wins, right? You can look at, oh yeah, I did close this deal. Look at what I did well. No, study your weaknesses. Understand, okay, what you fucked up on and how you can avoid that mistake in the future. Number four, master every fucking objection. Try and do 3 to 5 objections every single day until it's automatic. You shouldn't have to think about how you're gonna fucking handle the objection. It should just be, okay, let me share a perspective with you, bro. Number five, find people better than you and learn from them. Try and find, if you want to get into fucking sales, find an absolute gun sales rep and understand what are they doing that I'm fucking not. It's only simple, right? Learn from the best. And number six, and I think is probably the most important, get in the reps. Experience beats theory every fucking time. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You can do all the theory work in the world, but if you're not practicing, you're not going to get good. Now, that was my breakdown of what remote sales was, how I got started in it, how to sell, how to actually get good at this shit. But here's the next steps for you. You really got 2 routes you can go down. Number one, and what I recommend the most, is getting some type of training to get into this space. 90% of businesses aren't gonna wanna work with people that don't know what they're doing, don't have any experience, because this costs businesses both their time and their money. If you can get into some type of agency that'll both train you and help you get on a roll, you're sweet. You'll be able to see results quick as fuck. But that's not to say it's a must. That's just how I personally got started. And all those boys that I showed you before that are making, roughly 10 to 20 to 30K a month all got started too. If you are interested in getting some type of mentorship or training, here's a link in the description to personally book in a call with me and we can discuss things further. But if you want to keep learning on your own, which is still definitely a very viable strategy, go watch some YouTube videos. I'll tag some more videos down below. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message on IG. Appreciate you boys hopping on. I hope that answered all your questions. God bless. Take care of yourselves.